Okay, putting on the deck. This is probably going to be one of those, you can do it about 500,000 different ways. This is the way I found it easy for me to do it. But if we have our 318, we have our deck, and then we have our mule drive. And so basically I'll start off with the mule drive, kind of go over it, some of the maintenance parts that I've noticed. Since I had it off, I went ahead and greased it, this grease zerk right here. You know, it never hurts to grease it. I went ahead and checked, make sure the bearings and the pulleys were good. Checked the belt over, make sure no cracks in the belt. It is a new belt. I put it on earlier this year. And one interesting thing that I've noticed, I've had a couple older mule drives that actually, see this little rod right here that holds tension on these pulleys right there. I've actually seen it wear back on some of my other mule drives that I've had. I don't have any that are absolutely worn out anymore. Actually, I may have one in the scrap pile, but it actually just wears back, and you can kind of see where this one started wearing on it. It should be all the way forward, kind of like you can't push it forward very easily, but you can kind of see where it's been worn back a little bit. Just kind of some general maintenance items to go over. Also, while the deck's off, I went ahead and, you know, I took the belt off and checked the spindles, and I think on mine I'm probably going to need to replace my bearings probably this winter. They are the original bearings to the deck, but I noticed that this in particular, this spindle right there seems to, it just doesn't quite sound right and doesn't quite move right when compared to the others. But you know, it'll be fine to make it through the rest of the year. By no means have any problem with it, or I haven't had any problem with it. So basically what you have on the deck is you've got your draft arms right here, and then you have your front, I just call them J hooks, and those attached to the mule drive. One of the big things to watch out for is make sure your belt's routed properly with these guides. If not, you can go through a belt in a quick hurry. So, and then under the tractor, we've got, I left them on here. We have our two, I just call them deck hangers. You can leave them on here. They come off easy enough if you look. Basically, it's just a matter of, they hang on the deck hangers, and it's just a matter of lifting them off, but they stay pretty well. And for the minimal amount of work that I was going to do with the blade, I opted to leave them on. You know, over the winter I think you'd want to take them off, but this is the adjustable one, controls the deck height. This goes, basically you can unscrew it and screw it back in for the deck height. One of the things that wear on these is where the bolt goes through. You can kind of see this one's got a little bit of wear where the bolt head is worn on the hanger itself. So certainly something to watch out for if you're not careful. But you know, in general, this is they're very serviceable and no problems whatsoever. Sorry for my hand. I'm trying to get this back on there and watch the video screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these safety clasp out. Go over to the other side and do the same thing. But in the middle, I'm going to stop. This goes back to the grill emblem. Now, I don't know what the manual says about this, but I've always found it, if you've been running the tractor a little bit, I had to run mine to get it out in the yard. The exhaust can be hot, but just go ahead and the camera's going to shake, but I got to put it down. Go ahead and take the front grill off. Don't pull by the John Deere emblem or you'll break it, and then then you'll have real problems, because then you got to get a new one. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this other other pin out, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the deck under. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off and slide the deck under and get everything kind of set up, because you don't want to watch me do that. That'll take about a minute or so. Not real time consuming. Okay, this is where we get into the differences of what we're doing first, last, and in the middle. We've got a couple different avenues we can proceed. We have 3 hookup points basically. We got to hook up the mule drive, we have to hook up the deck draft arms, and we have to hook up the deck hangers. The deck hangers actually hook into the draft arms. So on each side we're going to have the hanger. The hanger is going to hook into this hole right here. The draft arm is going to hook into this mount right here. And then on the front of the deck, those J hooks that I was talking about earlier are going to hook into the mule drive. And so there's 3 attachment points on each side of the tractor. Now, how you actually, the order in which you hook it up, we can go on forever and a day about how we want to do that. But the best order that I've found is, and this may be different for different people, so I'm going to try to set the camera up to where you can kind of see what I'm doing. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hook up this first. Now I've got these are the same type pins that are in the blower and in the blade. So I'm going to hook that up first. Now, just for simplicity, you can actually lower the deck a little bit more than this to get it in there. But since I have the tractor off and the camera rolling, I'm just gonna lift the deck up and pop that in there. So now we have 2/3 of one side done, and I can go ahead and tell you that I should have turned this pin around. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That's going to be easier in the long run. So, gonna stop moving on me first. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we got that pin turned around. I can actually see where this key is going. Put that in there. Now we're gonna go over to the other side. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna set the camera up where you can hopefully see a little bit. And then this one, I'm gonna lift up once again. Put the draft arm in like that. And I'm gonna attach the hanger, put that key through, and now the back half of the deck is hooked up. So now all we've got left is the front. Now there's a couple different ways that people proceed on the front. First thing I do is I want to hook this belt up. So what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry, I can't really see this all that well, is I'm going to go ahead and stretch the belt around the main drive pulley. Make sure I get it right. Now, this belt will also get caught on this little hanger here on the mule drive. I'm not sure if you can see that all that well, but there's a little metal part right there on the mule drive. So that can get caught on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the camera down, and I'm just going to kind of hook this up because it takes both hands to do all this, and a little bit of, in my case, just a little bit of moving around and working on it a little bit. So I'm going to put the camera down. Hopefully you can get some of it. I'll try to give a narration of it. But first thing I'm going to do is thread my mule drive belt through my mule drive pulleys. I did this once. It came out. Make sure that they're lined up properly. And then what I do is I actually go ahead, and the mule drive is going to hang on this hanger right here. So I'm going to actually go ahead and set the mule drive up there like this. Just like that. Oh. Just like that. Okay? So now, important, these J hooks right here. Make sure that you can bring them out and hook them onto the draft plate on the mule drive. If they're not correct on how they're sitting, they'll never, like if they're up here, they'll never be able to pull them out far enough and get them down over this clevis. They need to be in the back position when you first put them in, and I already have both of mine that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the camera up here, and hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring my J-hook down. And now my J-hook's hooked in, and so that's one side of the deck done. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And once again, I've got my J-hook to where it's in the back, and so you can kind of see that. So now what I can do is I can, since the deck is already halfway on, I can just pull it out a little bit. Sorry for my arm. And I can pull the deck forward and lock it in. And so now we have a completely hooked up deck. We just have to hook up the belt. So now we've already routed the belt in. Down there, we'll have to check it again. So if we come around to the mule drive, we start off, our little bar here is in the install mode, or is in the install location. It's controlled by this knob right here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tighten up the belts a little bit, kind of see what we're hanging up on. So I'm just going to put the camera down and just kind of work on this a little bit, because typically it takes me a couple times to get the belt lined up right. Okay, so I got the belt lined up right, and I got it rolled around the pulley. And basically in the initial belt tension, all you have to do is basically just roll this belt around the pulley as you put it on there. And then now we have it says retention, since we do have some tension on it. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to tighten this down. This is why it's important to have this sticker on decal on here, because it helps me remember which way I'm going. And actually here in just a second I'm going to stop, because the deck should be up, completely up, when you're adjusting the tension. So I'm going to go ahead and stop what I'm doing and make sure the deck is completely up, which requires me to crank the tractor. And I just remembered that I have the lockout valve installed. Since I was using the blade, the lockout valve's on, so the deck's not going to move at all. So, I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll be able to see it from my angle. But anyway, I got the lockout valve open. Now I can lift the deck up. So now that the deck is up, we'll turn the tractor off. We're going to come back up here and see, with the in the up position, our initial belt tension, our tensioner went up, so we're just going to finish tighten the rest of the way. Okay, sorry about that. We had some technical issues with the camera. I wasn't paying attention when it ran out of recording time. Anyway, what we want to do is, after you've lifted the deck up, and I'm doing this in the garage, so it's not quite, I can't show everything, because I typically would crank up the tractor and check the deck belt and everything, make sure it's all good. But what I've done is I raised the deck up, and then after I raised the deck up, I tensioned it correctly, and then right now the deck's back in its lowered position, and so it's within the tension range. that it needs to be. One of the things you want to check before you use the deck the first time is you want to make sure that I'm trying to do this by light. You see that bar right there? Right there? You want to make sure that your belt is above that. That's that bar that I pointed out earlier in the video. So make sure that that bar is below your belt. If not, you'll go through a belt. That's one of those sticking points that gets a lot of people. What I would recommend is just, going over your entire setup one more time before you crank the tractor up, and then crank the tractor up, and then turn the PTO on and see how it performs. I did that and it worked just fine. So that's how you attach your deck, and hopefully that's informative and helpful.